In the morning light, I'm chasing dreams, navigating through the office streams. Deadlines looming, emails piling high, wondering if I'm reaching for the sky or just passing by. The world outside, it's a swirling storm, chaos in the streets, a daily norm. But inside my mind, I'm seeking peace, a way to balance, a moment to seize. Careers, chaos, and coaching too. Finding the path, what else can we do? Observing closely, learning as we go. Making decisions, let our wisdom show. Through the storms and the calm, we'll find our way. With every challenge, we'll learn to say, we've got the strength, we've got the grace to face the world and find our place. Upon meetings, voices in my head, strategies and plans, where do they lead instead? I take a breath, step back to see the bigger picture, what's meant to be. Coaching sessions, a guiding light, helping me focus, setting things right. With every word, a new perspective gained. In the game of life, it's not about the pain. Careers, chaos, and coaching too. Finding the path, what else can we do? Observing closely, learning as we go. Making decisions, let our wisdom show. Through the storms and the calm, we'll find our way. With every challenge, we'll learn to say, we've got the strength, we've got the grace to face the world and find our place. Quiet moments, I find my voice. In the chaos, I make my choice to lead with kindness, to act with care, to be the change, to show I'm aware. Careers, chaos, and coaching too. Finding the path, what else can we do? Observing closely, learning as we go. Making decisions, let our wisdom show. Through the storms and the calm, we'll find our way. With every challenge, we'll learn to say, we've got the strength, we've got the grace to face the world and find our place.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to another Careers, Chaos, and Coaching. We are live today with myself, Felipe Cofino, and my co-host, Melissa Houston. It is Sunday, June 28th, 2026. Melissa, how are you doing today?
I'm frozen.
Okay.
No, it's very chilly in the Pacific Northwest. I'm feeling great, but I am chilly, and I hate that it's almost July, and I still need a jacket. I'm feeling like a bait and switch happened up here, but I guess that's life in the Pacific Northwest. How is the temperature where you are, Felipe?
It's like 70 degrees, but it's a little cloudy, and it rained a lot yesterday, but today's supposed to be just like 70 and a little humid, but we're getting a heat wave next week. We're going to be in the hundreds, so it's definitely going to be, it's going to be hot for sure. But I definitely want to welcome everyone that's joined us, and for some reason, the chat on Restream is not showing anything, so I'm just looking at LinkedIn, and it's great to see Narky and Gregory. And so want to encourage you all to go ahead and repost the room, share it with your networks. They know that we're going on live, because today's topic is going to be about change. And we're going to be talking about, all the things from not liking change to how to deal with change, the benefits of change, why you got to deal with change, and some quotes about change. So we're going to go all over the place about this, but really how to get some outcomes when change does happen, because that's the ultimate goal, right, Houston, is get results when change does occur.
Who wants results? Not these people. No, yeah, I mean, it's about outcomes, right? All action should lead us to something, and it's going to bring results. I love that quote that I say sometimes: you will write your story either way. And I think that's really where we are. We have to control the narrative as much as possible. I will also say, Felipe, it just told me we went live. So it's LinkedIn being very delayed in notifications as well. So
It is
Fun.
being daily. But regardless of that, I think a lot of people do know us. But let's go ahead and do some introductions. So those watching the replay can definitely, know who we are in case they haven't had the pleasure of meeting us. Because we do have Christine already in the chat. Oh my gosh, we reached 100s in Massachusetts this week. It's supposed to reach up 100s on Thursday and Friday this week in DC, Christine. So the East Coast is getting hit hard. But Houston, please introduce yourself.
Okay. Hey, guys. I am Melissa Houston. I am the cultivator of dreams, motivator of human capital. And really what that means is I help people like you figure out what they want to be when they grow up and get a plan together, which is why I love this chat today, is because what good is a plan if we're not going to focus on the outcomes, if we're not going to get the goal successfully completed? And if you need help with any of that in your life after the show, you can check out my website, documentthenact.com, see the services I offer, see if it's something that aligns with you. But also, guys, please just go follow me on YouTube. I am growing my channel over there. I'm streaming live there now. If you're watching, thank you so much. I was at 45 subscribers when I looked last, and I would love to keep growing. I want to make sure we're diversifying platforms because, Felipe, outcomes matter. And what happens if LinkedIn closes tomorrow? So, guys, if you're only following us on one channel, please change that today. Make sure you're following us everywhere we are. All right, Felipe, back to you.
Thank you. And, I got to say, I do think that it's important to always have a backup plan. Like you said, YouTube is our backup in case something happens to LinkedIn or vice versa. But it's always good to have a backup plan when things happen because things can change on a dime. Where did that come from? Why a dime? Why not a nickel? Why not a quarter?
I'm going to Google that while you do your
Please do.
intro.
Okay. So for those of you who have not had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Felipe Cofino. I've been an HR executive for about 30 years now. Not about, it's been 30 years. It makes me sound old. But I've also been the founder of Cofino Consulting, which you can see the QR code there. This is something that I do on the side that I want to do when I retire and enjoy doing what I do best. And that's helping people with recruitment, training, and even if you need someone to come in and just do a quick audit of your HR team to make sure that they're being the best version of themselves, not to get them in trouble, but to help them see where they can be better, I'm your guy. And I, like Melissa, like to store a lot of the videos that I do and content on YouTube as well as LinkedIn because it's an easy place for people to go to. So if you have not subscribed to my channel, I would love for you to do that because it really is a place where we have playlists for the Careers, Chaos, and Coaching. I also have a playlist for the Workplace Wellness Hour, Future Ready Voices, and Social Saturday Chat. And yes, as Melissa likes to point out, I have some cooking videos. The most recent cooking video, I look decent. Previous ones, I looked like I belong in the 70s because I had COVID hair. That's all I'm going to say. So check out the video if you want some good, valuable information, content, or if you just want to laugh at me. And so with that being said, I am also a published author, and I've been very fortunate and grateful to be a co-author with Melissa Houston in 2 different books that were international bestsellers. One of them was a book to my family that is still available, which really has some amazing, great stories from different people about a message to your family. And it's a great message and a great practice to do, to leave a message for your family so that one day when maybe you are gone, they can look back and remember what you thought and what your values meant to you. But that inspired me to launch, if I can be a little bit shamelessly plugging, Miranda Max, Backyard Adventures, which Backyard Adventures is going to be a 5-part series. The second book of Brady and Lucky the One-Eyed Cat is coming out August 1st. And I decided to create an Instagram page just for Backyard Adventures. You're not going to see my ugly mug. You're just going to see cartoons. You're going to see little funny short stories, videos, and upcoming news about the books. So more to come about that. And with that, I will say I'm a LinkedIn top voice that I just take seriously to make sure that we provide you the best content information. Melissa and I care a lot about providing you accurate, valuable, relevant information. We don't want to just come up here and just share, bogus opinions. We want to give you some honest feedback and takeaways that can help you, hopefully. So, Houston.
I have 2 things. Are you ready? 1, to turn on a dime. It comes from the U.S. a vehicle's ability to make a sharp, precise maneuver within the tiny diameter of a dime, which was the smallest US coin. The equivalent is the British English equivalent to turn on a sixpence. Secondarily, those books you mentioned were in. Did you know Audible has made them into audiobooks for us? And AI is voicing them. And so I've been listening to our books on Audible.
How does my chapter sound? Because I haven't listened to it yet.
I'll be honest, it was really good. I was shocked though. I think every author, co-author, whoever has written should go back and let AI read to them, because it was hilarious to hear the inflection shift. What we assume the reader's going to do with it is not always what they'll do. But the other side of it was having AI read it to me. It took me outside of myself. It was me. And I could almost anticipate what was coming. You know, I knew the story. I've heard this before. But having somebody else or something else delivering it changed the way I processed the information, because it wasn't delivered with the amplification of certain words and the nuances, the pauses, the whatever. And so it delivered differently. I highly recommend you guys do this. Anyway, I had to just share that.
No. I think that's definitely great, and I look forward to listening to it as well. Hello, Stephen. I know you're on the road, but thank you for stopping by. We always appreciate you. Omar M. So, Melissa, if you haven't seen it yet, you got to check out the Zoom party I was on. It was the Father's Day one that Omar did. And it was a lot of fun. I got to meet great people that I had not met before. But Omar and Jane do a great job. And they had some tough questions in that like Zoom party, like Jeopardy style game, because there are some that I'm like, what the hell? Like, wait a second, that can't be right. And it was right. So you learned a little bit, had some fun, but Omar did a great job with that. So thank you, Omar. All right. So we get started with the topic because, you know, I know we have a hard stop at the end of the hour. It is the 4th of July week. So I know a lot of people in the US are traveling. And I did think it was kind of funny, Houston, I got to say, when you gave the description of, you know, turning on a dime, that you said originated in the US. I'm like, well, I felt like saying, no crap, it's a dime. It's US currency, but I didn't give you a hard time. So with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to our topic. Our topic today really is about change and turning change into opportunities, because a lot of times change happens and people resist it. They freeze up. So I wanted to share, Fluidbase 5 is a little bit different this week. I'm just going to share 5 quotes of famous people over the centuries, not over the years, not over the decades, over the centuries. Because I want you all to see that this has not been a new issue, and that if people can realize what people are trying to teach us, we wouldn't complain about change as much. So let's see how this works. All right. So here are the 5 quotes that I pulled out. All right. The first one was JFK quote. If you're a JFK fan, you might know this, is that change is the law of life. And those who look only to the past or present are certain to miss the future, which I think that's kind of powerful, Houston. I don't know about you, but I think that's one of those things that, and I'll just read all 5 and we can talk about them, I guess. But I just think that says a lot. The second one is from Albert Einstein. The measure of intelligence is the ability to change. I think it's a powerful one as well. The next one is from Charles Darwin. Okay, like we're going back here in time, y'all. It is not the strongest of species that survives, nor the most intelligent, but the ones most responsive to change. Think about that. That's, you know, survival of the fittest. That's a really good explanation as to why. 4, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you always got. And that was a variation of Henry Ford, which I think that I'm going to repeat that again because it's kind of funny. If you always do what you've always done, you always get what you always got. It's kind of like expecting to keep on doing the same thing. Well, actually, let me hold off on that one. Number 5 is the secret of change is to focus on all your energy, not on fighting the old, but on building the new. So these are very just stoic, very traditional ones. But Houston doesn't know this. I got a bonus 5 that I want to show real quick, because these are the 5 that I think about. I don't go around quoting Aristotle and Charles Darwin. So here are my 5 real quick. You already have a lifetime of experience with change, which is true. We've all dealt with change all our life. Number 2, change the way you look at things, and the things you look at will change. I say that a lot. I got that from somebody. I don't know where that quote is from. Number 3, instead of saying why me to change, choose what's next. What are you going to do with that change? Number 4, stop wallowing in change and woe is me. Decide what you're going to do and then do it. And then the last thing about change I think is powerful. It's not Albert Einstein one, but it's the definition of insanity. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. When we change, we try to go back to our old ways of doing things, expecting things to come out different. And it's like, you got to accept it and stop trying to do things. Or if you're trying to get a message across to create change and no one's listening, stop doing it the same way. So I'm going to stop there, Houston. What are your thoughts about these and any other additional? I'm sure you have wonderful wisdom about change, but starting off with these quotes, anything jump out at you?
Let's go back to the last ones because I don't want to cover yours necessarily. No offense, but you just did. So, I don't want to double down on
I want to go back to
but,
the original ones.
Yeah, honestly,
I am competing against philosophers and really smart people.
We're not competing. So here's the thing. We're not competing against these guys because the truth is when you are reading this stuff, I have my own quotes that very much align, right? Number 4, for example, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you always got. A new to-do list brings new results is absolutely based on that same premise, right? And so there's no motivation that doesn't tie to something that motivated us first. I think all things here matter. But what I like the most is that we all can find what moves us. And that is what change is. And for me, the document then act. You will write your story either way. A new to-do list brings new results. Decide then go, right? That's really cool. Document then act. It's the same kind of concepts, guys. You have to figure out what the F you want to do and then find out. F around and find out. That's really the theme of the show, because if you're moving in life, that movement's going to get reaction, right? For every action, there's a opposite equal reaction kind of vibe. I remember that in science. It's the same concepts. And so what are you sowing? What kind of seeds are you planting? What kind of behaviors are you pulling out of others, cultivating, harvesting, right? Because I love the growth thing. But the truth is, what are your quotes, guys? Are any of these aligned with what you guys believe? Do you have something that, aligns with what Felipe and I just shared, what he shared from JFK and Henry Ford and Charles Darwin? These guys weren't in the same room, but if I had to Venn diagram this premise, Felipe, in the center is we don't get to control the change. We just have to figure out what we're going to do with it, right? Isn't that really the premise of the entire theme of the show right now?
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like people are having issues getting on LinkedIn for some reason.
Thank you for being on YouTube, because guys, this is exactly, we missed you this morning when we launched. It didn't tell you right away. And so make sure you're subscribing on more than one channel because you don't want to miss the good stuff. You're already 20 minutes in. We got 40 minutes to go.
Absolutely. So I'm going to put the link of YouTube in the chat as well. I'm going to put it in the actual comments of the original post so that people outside can see it. But join us on YouTube. All right. So one thing about change I wanted to talk about was going back to the ones that I tend to say, the first one that I mentioned about you already have a lifetime experience with change. I just want people to think about that, because you grew up, you got taller, you started talking, you learned things at school, all these things are changing. You change schools, you change clothing, styles, hairstyles, your nails grow. You're dealing with all this change that's just organic. And then you have changes that you choose. I'm going to change jobs. I'm going to change, my overall walk. I don't know. I'm going to change the music I listen to. Those are choices that you make, but they're still change. And so I think that we get in our heads about, I'm sorry, I was talking and typing and I said, why just on you change instead of YouTube? Sorry. And so I think it's important for us to remember that when we get in our heads about, I can't handle change, remind yourself, you kind of already do. You have experience in it. You've already handled it and you've done it well because you've made it this far.
I like what you just said, and I actually want to just put a cherry on that. I don't like change. I can't handle change. I can't do this. All of these quotes that come to mind, especially as a mindset coach, of hearing people in life. I've said it to myself. But the truth is if we determine we can't, we 100% are done. We're done. But if you determine you can, but maybe you can only handle 1% of the situation in the room. I'm visually in a funeral situation, right? We're just in this room. Our loved one is over there. We're paying respects. I can't control how I feel inside. I can't control how others are feeling in the room. I can try to help, but I have to pick which help I can do in that moment if I'm already feeling a little empty. In that moment, I would pick one thing I could tackle. I would go tidy up the table. I would straighten the chairs. I would make sure the coat on the floor got hung up on the back of the chair again. Those little things of care, comfort, those let me refill a cup, let me make sure the ice is full. I can't do a lot, but those little things matter when you've been crying so long and you just need that fresh drink of ice cold something to replenish your spirit. It doesn't have to be a direct impact thing. It can be something that is so small, but still has a ripple. And I think when we take power back, and even that 1% thing we can improve on in that moment, it really changes the game. What do you think, Felipe?
Absolutely, and I think that's it. It is a huge mindset thing that I think people can get in their heads about, and it's it's happened to all of us. I mean, it's all of a sudden we get comfortable with something and feel like, well, we're taking that away. I mean, how many people have had a favorite T-shirt? Maybe you had a favorite chair. Maybe you had a favorite pillow, and you kept it until it got ratty because it was your favorite. You got so comfortable with it that you didn't want to change. That I really think that complacency is the um, nemesis of change, and I think that's what we have to realize is that sometimes it's our own unwillingness to let something go. My wife has T-shirts of mine that she would love to throw away. I'm not ready to part with them because they're nostalgic. They may not fit me as well as they used to, but I still like them because it brings back memories.
Okay, I have a question on that.
All right.
What if you changed the game and said, I will let you throw this shirt away, but you have to give me a new memory with a new favorite shirt to replace it?
Oh, I love that suggestion because you know what? My rule is you can't throw away until I get something new to replace it. Is what the rule is. But I think that also understanding that I've learned that certain things that were ratty, I found a way to get a new version of it, or maybe have it touched up and then put on, and put on a new into a picture frame. So my thing is that look at things differently, change the way you look at things, and things will change. I just told Melissa that I'm going to start a new contract on Monday. I'm excited about it. It's all remote. And I'm like, God, my office is just not looking as great in the background if I don't have that virtual background on. So during Prime Day, I ordered a backdrop. Now, the backdrop was like $44. I had put it together. It was like IKEA kind of thing. But it was a change that I wanted to make. Now, a lot of people will get in their head and they'll be like, oh, wait, it doesn't look good. I can't do it. I don't want to be embarrassed. I can't show this to anybody. And that's where, again, that mindset, that fear, don't let fear stop you from trying something new. And I think that's such an important thing to remember is that when we try something new, think about what has come out of it. I left a hotel industry after 23 years, the epitome of comfortable. I was able to just be happy. I was doing what I loved. I had people that I loved working with. And then there was an opportunity for growth, to make more money for my children going to college, and to experience something different outside of what I've known for 23 years. It was a horrible change. 2.5 years of absolutely horrible experience. I wish I had never done it when I was there. I was coming back home horribly. I know this does not sound like it's a good promotion for change, you all, but give me a minute. And so you said, those 2.5 years of change, not only did it help me grow, I learned what not to do, and it led me to a new opportunity that honestly, if I had not gone through that, I don't know if I would have gotten on LinkedIn as much as I did. I might not be here with Melissa. I may have never met Melissa because of if I didn't be open to change. Because that one change that got me into that horrible place that I always said I went through hell to get to heaven was a life change that, if you look at it from the outside, didn't look pretty. But the outcome on the other side, I'm so grateful. Melissa, how about you? Is there a change in your life that you had that you were like, oh my God, if I hadn't done it, I can't imagine what would happen. I almost didn't.
I'll be honest. I feel like I'm one of your crazy friends you can definitely put down as jumping in both feet all the time. I do assess how deep the pool is before I jump in. I do that. But the truth is, if I had to pick one thing out of all the things, it would be to break up with housing. If you guys don't know my story, I was raised on welfare. My mom was a waitress and then disabled and on Social Security. And so we got all of the benefits. And when I ended up a very young mother at 18, I was not in a financial situation to have that be different. So I had all of the services. They paid for my housing, they paid for my food, they paid electric, and it wasn't a lot. And I barely got by. And I knew I couldn't live like that. And so for me, I think the biggest change that scared the holy heck out of me was to walk out of an apartment, not pay rent, not say goodbye, not tell housing I was moving out of town on a brand new lease, do nothing, but just let it all lapse. And it was the only way I could do it is I had to burn the bridge with the government who was giving me all of these beautiful things for free and really, in essence, holding me back at the time. And this is my story, not everybody else's. I don't assume others are being held back. But in that moment, the only way I could do it was to cut it off. And so I went and I was offered a job at a payday loan company. I was an assistant manager. I went out of town to Tucson and I worked there. And I paid $758 a month in rent from 12 with no safety net, nobody to call home to if I needed it. And that was scary with a kid, guys. But I had no choice because I knew if I didn't, I would get comfortable. And I couldn't be comfortable with that outcome. And so knowing why you're changing makes it a lot easier to go run off the cliff. But I wouldn't be here today. And so I think that's the first step was just giving up all of my comfort to go make myself uncomfortable and grow. Felipe?
And I think that's a great message is, you've got to get uncomfortable. It's okay to be uncomfortable. I always say, one of the things about me getting comfortable working remotely, well, a result of that was my gut got bigger because I was sitting down more. That's not a good result. That was not the result I was looking for when I set up all my office stuff and I was working remotely and I was proud of myself. Was I didn't do as much walking. I wasn't getting as many steps in the office. I was going up and down staircases instead of taking the elevator. So I got to change my habits to include exercise. And then when I have a challenge with that one, I don't know if y'all do. That might not be a challenge for anyone. It might be just me. But, getting motivated to exercise, that's a change. Now think about a change that's been easy for you. What kind of changes are easy for you? Is it changing restaurants? Is it changing outfits? Is it changing cities? What's easy for you is so much harder for another person. And I think that's what we have to realize. We can't compare ourselves to other people because your change journey is your own. But what about creating change? What if you're trying to influence change, Houston? I mean, like that's another area that I feel like is really challenging, is that when we try to influence change, whether it's because it's with the company, maybe it's with your family, maybe it's with your friends. Any examples you want to share?
I think it's easy to make change when it seems exciting, right? Felipe, if you said, hey, Houston, new restaurant, I hear they have the best crab cakes in town. I have tried all the crab cakes in Maryland. It's time to go. That's an easy yes for me. If you tell me you want to go swim in shark infested waters and take photos together in like a selfie situation with the sharks, I'm going to laugh at you and say no, right? But I think what I would say most is I think easy change situations come when you're comfortable in the room. So being able to tell you no is easy for me because I'm comfortable. You're comfortable. We understand each other and we understand there's a reason behind the no, and we don't usually take it personally, right? But I think that's it. Wherever I'm comfortable is an easy to shift. It's easy to shift with friends when they need something more than I do. Family, work situation where I'm not devoted to this one task, but somebody else absolutely adores doing that task, it's easy to shift away. And so I don't know. I think that's what came to mind. Is that what you were looking for? Because I feel so off base, but that's all I got.
No. I think that's a great example. And, as I'm seeing Nicole, who joined us, and she'll share a little bit of her story there, Nicole made a huge change in her life. She went from working in like a corporate structure to starting her own business. And she jumped and went all in. I applaud her because I don't know if I could do that. Now, my daughter is shocked that when I start a new job, I have no nerves. She's like, "Aren't you nervous?" I'm like, "No, because I think I've done onboarding for people for 30 years that I think they should probably be more nervous about me critiquing their onboarding than me wondering what's going to happen. Because I know what should happen and what I should expect, probably more than most people because I've had to do it. But that's my comfort level because I've done it. I recognize that other people starting a new job are nervous as crap. They are so nervous because they don't know what they're doing, who they're meeting, who they're working with. Are they going to like them? Is their boss going to be nice as they were in the interview? So I get it. But the fear quote, which I probably should put this quote on here, and I'll go back to you, Houston, is I always share this. I heard it at a funeral, and it stayed with me for the last 15 years. And forgive me because I don't remember who said it, but it's with fear, you can do one of two things, and it's the acronym. So if you think of the acronym, you can fear everything and run, or you can face everything and rise. And that's, I think, a very relevant quote because it's easy for us to get scared and run the other way. Like, nope, I'm avoiding it. I'm not going to do that. No, I'm scared. But when you face your fears, think about how empowered you are. Think about how good you feel after you've overcome the fear. It gives you strength. It gives you confidence. So, Houston, what were you going to say?
I was thinking about how, you said it's easy for some, and Nick leaving the workplace. I don't know if she would call it easy. I won't speak for her at all. I would love if she wants to jump up here and talk about it. But the thing you said that resonated with me is it's easy for some to do some things, right? And it's harder for others. You can easily go in to a new job and not be nervous. That's fantastic. So you are the perfect friend to have a show like this to help your friends get comfortable in the things they're not comfortable with. That's exactly what the premise of our show is. We do the things that we have tried. I have left corporate for my own, right? In 2015, I said, I'm done with this staffing firm. 2013, I fired my staffing boss, came back to the staffing boss, started a new business with him. I was like, hey, you haven't changed. I'm out of here again, and I'm going to do it on my own. And I was able to sustain my family for years that way, for 8 years. And that's scary. But being able to go, hey, I've done this. Let me tell you what I know about doing this makes it easier for friends who want to make the jump. And so I actually want to encourage others. If you have done something, if you're comfortable with the skill, if you know how to do something and you see a friend is starting down that journey, share. Just go be supportive. Say, if you have questions, I'm here. That alone is so empowering, Felipe. Just to know there's a phone call that you can make without question, just to have somebody to bounce an idea off of. And so I got to encourage our friend group. If you see somebody struggling, if you see an industry struggling, if you see something amiss, solve it. Offer help. Dive in with a solution, not just pointing fingers and problems, because it's easy for us to go, oh, man, I'll be honest, Felipe, and I want to hear from you too. How many of our families and friends will tell us, oh, I don't know if I would do that. Oh, you're leaving court. Oh, I don't know if I would do. Oh, fear. Let me put my fear on your dream. And I think we need to pull back from that. I think we need to actually function in a way that is going to help others be more confident in their ability. Because even if they don't have it figured out yet, nobody freaking does. Like Felipe had mentioned, we talked about before on my show. You start as a baby who doesn't know anything except hunger, tired, and achy, right? Like, hold me. Everything else is learned. And so if we can do that, if we can become these adults who are in the LinkedIn room having these conversations with all of our knowledge, why couldn't we have the person across from us have that same experience after a little bit of time? Felipe?
I love that. And let me just fix this here. Great to see some people in the chat. David Pushkin, great to see you. Gregory, wonderful to see you as well. William, I'm glad you finally woke up. Of course, William yesterday was saying, "Oh, I get up at 8:30." Bill, it's 11:30. Just want to say. So, but as far as the change, I want to highlight Nick a little bit on this because I talked about influencing change. And I think I've shared the story before about emotional intelligence and how my old CEO was like, "No, I don't want any emotional intelligence in training. That's stupid. It's all fluff." And the more I talked to him about it, the more angry he got. This goes back to that brick wall. I was hitting that brick wall, and I kept on hitting the brick wall the same way. And then I stopped myself. I'm like, okay, I am not being effective. How can I change this? So I went ahead and I said, let me find some articles of people that he respects out that are CEOs in the world that are actively talking about emotional intelligence and how it's valuable in the workplace. I found 3 CEOs he liked. I didn't even email them. I printed out the articles on paper. I put them in his inbox on his desk. 2 weeks later, he ends up talking to my trainer as we're preparing for training, and he was asking him questions, and he was quoting things from the articles. He never gave me the gratification of knowing that he heard me or that he thanked me, but I didn't care because he changed and he listened. I'm sharing that story because change is not easy for people. And sometimes if you're trying to make change happen, you gotta change your approach. And the last story I'll say is because we have our wonderful friend Nick here. And Nick, this is audio only, so you can keep your camera on, but I'm just letting you know there's no video, so it's up to you. And let me take off the chat here because it's covering too many faces. So with Nick, before we let her talk, what I wanted to share was Nick was another example of influencing change. She came to me about the first book and says, would you be willing to write a chapter in this book? And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not a writer. I don't feel confident. I'm bad at spelling, grammar. I've never been an author. Thank you, but no thank you. And she asked one more time, and I'm like, yeah, no, thank you, but no thank you. And then she came to me and she's like, listen, you love LinkedIn. You talk about LinkedIn all the time on lives and audio rooms. What about writing a chapter about LinkedIn? And I'm like, whoa. I mean, okay, that I could probably do that. And she got me by tapping into a passion of mine. And I just want you all to see that she approached it a different way and got her results. She changed her approach, which then allowed me to change my answer to get the results she wanted. And she did it wonderfully. And what I wanted to share real quick, which it's a little silly, but I mentioned that background. Nick, I want to show you this background because in this background I created that we're not live, I want you to see that in the top right-hand corner is a message to my family. The bottom left-hand corner is the LinkedIn book. So, and then the other books you helped me publish as well are there. But I'm sharing all that because if it wasn't for Nick pushing for that change, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today. So her doing her changes in her life has had such a ripple effect on so many other lives. So I want you all to hear this in the sense of whether you're receiving change and you're learning how to adapt to it, or you're trying to influence change, the positive ripples can be tremendous. So with that being said, Nick, welcome to the stage. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for just being you.
Hello, guys. Hi, Melissa. Hi, Felipe. Thanks for having me up. I'm sorry I can only stay for a few minutes. And that was a perfect segue because I am having the second course of meet and greet for the Men, Money, and Mental Health book, which Felipe is writing the forward. And I met with 4 of the guys yesterday, and I'll meet with the other 5 today. And change is not always easy. And even when you've done it before and okay, I've done this, I can do this, you can still have that trace of fear. Because even though I've had so many calls and meetings now, this was me facing a screen with only men. And, I had to get them to trust to write in a book with a woman spearheading this. So you are right about approach, Felipe. One is a chef. He travels the world. He just came back from Tanzania and is heading off to Italy. But he's all about sustainability, right? And so I said, you would have a great story to share. When you think about men around the world, some men are out there fishing and farming, forget corporate, just to put food on the table. Now, how does that affect their psyche if their crops get washed away, or there's terrible climate for whatever reason and the fishing's bad? So yes, I do have to think when I want to approach someone to write in a book, what is their connection to the theme of the book? In terms of change, oh goodness gracious, you and Melissa are both very well aware of what I have faced had faced in the first 6 months or so, just jumping ship from a company I really liked working for, and that compensated me very well. And when you take a plunge from a $70,000 salary to $20,000 in your first year of business, it's bloody scary. But if you could get through it, you form I don't know how to say it, a resilience, I guess, that motivates you to go into the next quarter. And that's exactly what happened. And I changed my mindset a lot this year. And I've seen huge benefits from doing that. But I think a lot of times entrepreneurs want to jump the gun, and they don't understand that you have to go through that baptism by fire period. I personally think it makes you stronger. And Felipe, I think it was you that said it. You go through it, and then you know what not to do again. Yeah, what not. I keep thinking I need to write a book on, oh shit, you quit your job, ? All the, oh my God, why did I do this when I started my business? Yeah, one of entrepreneurship. Reconsider if you're going to do XYZ. But anyway, monologuing here, so thank you.
No, thank you, Nick. And I gotta say, when you first mentioned about being intimidated with, all men, you have experience, which probably made you more comfortable than the average person doing what you did. Because when you talked about your experience with the elevator company, what did you always say? You were one of the only women, if not the only woman working there. So you know how to manage men very well. But I have a question for you.
That's a great point, by the way. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
And it's something you talk about often as HR, those transferable skills.
Exactly.
That is a soft skill that you are not thinking about. Oh, that was very good.
See, and that's why people have to remember is that when they're dealing with change, you got skills that you can take that will help you deal with that change. And Nick just proved that she forgot that she had that skill, but I'm sure the guys that you talked to today thought you handled it beautifully. I want to welcome a few people that joined the room. We have a LinkedIn user who I don't know who it is. PP Tora is here, and Jedi J's in the room. We are going to be wrapping up on time. I am bringing up William Rochelle up here as well. But Nick, I have one question for you, and then we'll go to Melissa and then to Bill. But for people that are dealing with change, when you got scared from going from the corporate world, jumping into your own business, both feet in, what did you do when you got scared to keep you going?
I cried. don't ever underestimate the power of a good cry, men and women. Um, I, my husband and I have a very good relationship. We started as friends for a year before we started dating, and so I, I talk with my husband a lot about my fears. Even to this day, I occasionally say to him, "I don't know, baby, maybe I need to go back to work full time." And so a big part of me being able to overcome my fear is him saying, "You just started this. Like, you have to give it a chance. We're going to cut back. We're going to do what we need to do." Um, Having that type of support greatly, uh, it doesn't diminish the fear. It kind of puts the fear into better perspective. Um, and so now, just the people that you are responsible for, you see, that's where it could get scary, right? You have partners, you have mortgage, you have children, you have all sorts of things. So when you decide to make a sacrifice, everybody around you is sacrificing to some degree, right? Including the meetings that I have to have at 9 p.m. at night because people are in a different time zone. So that's one of the things, Felipe. I guess one of the other things I reminded myself of is that, um, Eminem's 1 mile. This is my 1 mile, 8 miles. Sorry, you only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. That is like my hype song. So yeah, I hype myself a lot with music. I know that's weird, but it works for me. And I got one shot. I tell myself, you are bloody lucky at 50 years old to be able to say, I am going to try to live my dream before I die. So, yeah,
Well,
that I
thank you,
give
Nick.
you
That
a
was amazing. Houston?
Okay. Yeah, I gotta say a couple of quick things. Nick, you have evolved your life so many times over that it always is so shocking to me to go, girl, are you scared again? What do you mean? Why? How? It's got to be that excitement you just haven't identified
right.
because I've heard your stories, right? The other thing I gotta say is I love that lose yourself. I got one opportunity. I'm not gonna, and it took me to Hamilton. I'm not throwing away my shot.
Yep.
And I think everybody just needs that one song that can fire them up. And so, music,
Yeah.
it's not just healing, there's science behind it, but that is such a great way to play. Thanks for coming up,
Yeah, no problem. I
Felipe.
apologize. I gotta jump, guys. I have this meeting in like 10.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us and appreciate you
Yeah,
sharing your
I'll be
story.
listening until 12. Okay, cool.
All right. Houston, I'm handing the mic over to you.
Um,
Bill, welcome to the stage. What's coming up for you today? And thank you for being up so early. I swear I don't know what early is and what the cutoff is in your world, but every time we're live, it's early.
It's
So
my it's
thank you
it's my
for
sleep
coming
schedule.
early.
I don't go to sleep until like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, so it's really 8 hours worth of sleep. But yeah, um, fear is everything, and fear is nothing. And once we realize that and turn it into nothing, that's when we're able to move forward. And when I say fear is everything, fear is in our head. So we always get afraid of something. We always allow the what ifs to hold us back. And I've been lucky enough to work in emerging growth companies. So I go into companies to create change. And you'd be surprised at you see to see the resistance to it. And the resistance is not because they don't like your change. The resistance is that they fear that you're looking at their job and that it's going to change, and they're afraid about what their next step will be. People are afraid of AI. You have to embrace it. Um, and I think that the fear is manufactured. You can either embrace it and learn how to create and roll with it, or you can be afraid and get left behind. So I'm afraid every day about something different, something new. But after 2025, I've chosen to release that fear every night and to really go to sleep thinking about all my blessings and then step into something that is unique and different the next day. And we can all do that. We just need people behind us that uplift us throughout our journey.
I love letting it go every night with intention. I start my day with intention. I use prayer oils. It's body oil that smells really good, but I use it as a prayer oil. And I think it's so important to just have a moment of surrender to the change, guys. We can't control it. My mom was, an addict, so I always go to the serenity prayer when I think about this kind of thing. But the truth is we can't control the waters moving around us. It's like trying to control a river. You can stand in the river and let it rush you, or you can get your ass to the shore. No offense, but you can move, build a boat, use it to power the city, hydroelectricity style. Like, it's up to us to make that change. And I just love what you were saying, everything today. It just reminds me of what I say, the victory and victim quote. And it's really up to us to determine what we're going to do with what we're handed. It's a game of cards, right? You don't get to shuffle the deck and determine which ones come to you. But once you have it, you get to determine what you're going to risk and how you're going to play. And if you're just going to step back and let others play the game, and you're going to assess how it works out without having to act. And all of these things are okay. But I just love your share, Felipe.
I echo that. I love your share as well, Bill. I think that, fear is something that can be debilitating, but I also want to remind people that fear is not a bad thing. Fear is a good thing to make you be cautious. You just can't let it override you, because take risks, but I hope you all hear this part too. Take calculated risks. Okay? You don't jump out a window with nothing to land on. Now, there's an inflatable huge pad down there that's blown up. Okay, that's a calculated risk I might be willing to take, but if it's not there, I'm not taking that risk. So that's a really lame example, but still, I hope you all get what I mean, because it's important.
I think you're conflating risk with internal fear of change.
No. Hold on a second. But here's the
Okay.
thing. So my point is that internal fear of change, we are taking a risk when we make that change. And what I'm saying is that take it calculated in the sense that do it at your own pace, but you got to make forward progress. Just like in football, you got to make forward progress in getting through that fear, working through that fear.
Can I say one more thing?
Very quickly, because we have a very hard stop and we have to go to Gregory.
Got you. I agree with 90% of what you said, but at some point you have to say, I got this, and go. Because if you keep calculating and analysis paralysis, you get nowhere.
But so definitely, calculated risk is not a one that you stay and sit on. A calculated risk is one that you decide and do. That's why you make the calculation, you just make the decision, and you go. That's the whole point of calculated risk, is that you took the time to figure out what is worth it, and then you do it.
Document then act, right?
Yeah, or you don't do it. You make that decision. So, and one more thing I wanted to recognize is that if Nick made a comment here earlier, and it's up, go scroll down later if you all want to see it. But it's one of those things where Mel Robbins, if you're not listening to Mel Robbins and you're struggling with what we're talking about today, go follow Mel Robbins on LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever, because one of her big things she says is people are always afraid about what if it doesn't work out. And her answer is, what if it does? Exactly. So with that being said, Gregory, you got 2 minutes, my friend. Thank you for joining us on stage. What is your share? And and before you do share, one thing I want to remind people is that with change, you can only control what you change. You can't force other people to change. So focus on what you're doing, because I think that's one of the important things for us to remember is I can control what I change. If I try to make Melissa do something that she doesn't want to do, I'm spinning my wheels and possibly ruining the relationship and looking bad.
And Melissa doesn't want to stay after 9 today. So we got to hustle, guys. I got a job.
All right. So Gregory, over to you.
Yeah, 2 minutes. Okay. The reason why I put the 2 comments I put in the LinkedIn chat in regards to change is a two-way street. And if people are presenting data for change, it should be recognized and acknowledged and somewhat accepted, because it's data. So it's basically undisputed, basically. And if we're supposed to be uh, acceptable in terms of being totally uncomfortable, then why in our HR profession we love to have comfortable people within our HR club or HR department, rather than people such as people like me and basically 60% of the Canadian workable employment group not having a particular employment opportunity, because we basically present a different type of aspect or problem solving skills of that ilk in terms of an organization. And we are are virtually known as being a high risk because of how we think and act in a corresponding employment type of situation. Hence that's why I will say that in my second comment I says, uh if we are supposed to be totally uncomfortable, then why is this not being practiced in the HR profession at juncture? And I could guarantee you that we have a star LinkedIn person in the LinkedIn chat by the name of Brian Fink. He has basically wrote a, a lot of newsletter articles of basically being of people that we need to learn how to be uncomfortable, especially in HR, especially in recruitment, especially in talent relations, because of the on, onset of people who are neurodiverse.
Okay,
Hence,
Gregory.
had a lot of people who are neurodiverse in regards to that situation. End
All
of
right, Gregory,
story.
Gregory, I need to cut you off because we are wrapping up here. We have 1 minute left, and Melissa needs to go. So, I hear you. My advice to you, take it or leave it, is that if what you're doing with the data presenting is not resulting in change, then you need to change your approach, because you're passionate about what you want to do. You have valid reasons for the change you want to make, but however you're doing, if you're saying you have data and it's not making change and other people have to do something different, you can't control them. So how are you
That's the
going to do it?
neurodiversity aspect of that,
I'm going to
which is a
jump
lot of
in
people
because
are
All right,
missing.
Gregory,
hold
hold
go
on,
ahead.
it's my turn. I'm going to take the mic, guys. Here's the thing: be the change you wish to see. We have this conversation every week, Gregory. I agree with what Felipe said. They're uncomfortable with the conversation. You're telling me they're comfortable. I hear this out loud that you're saying they're comfortable. They're not, or they would have the conversation. And so I think there is discomfort. I also think we need to stop assuming just because somebody's neurodiverse or not, or a female or not, or a specific degree holder or not, that they have value, they don't have hurdles, they don't have internal issues. Maybe they don't understand neurodivergency because they don't know anybody who has been diagnosed. They just look at it different. We have to stop talking badly about each other and really be willing to meet in that middle of the Venn diagram of, we don't have to align on everything, but we're all humans. We all have something to share. How do we share it together? We can be uncomfortable, but we shouldn't bully our way in. And I think that's the one thing I want to leave on, because I feel like it's almost a forced situation when we're forcing people who have already said no thank you to take what we're giving. Have a different conversation in a different room. Sometimes you have to stand up and change the room you're in. If they're not hearing you, if you're not getting support, you have to leave. I left a whole city. I cut off my family for years because every time I reached out, I got pulled into dramas and court cases and things that weren't mine. But I had an addicted family, so I had to be the change. I had to make my way. And now I create spaces where people show up to listen to me, and I had no authority to do so. I didn't ask permission to do so. I really recommend the same kind of approach for you, Craig. Just start your podcast and do neurodiversity for HR, and don't apologize for it, but just talk about data and not the people. Felipe, I am so excited to wrap up the show, but guys, I'm really going to have to run to my next job. So can you catch us 2 weeks from now? We're doing this live again. Saturday, I'm going to be live with my show, Coffee Chats with Melissa Houston. Felipe's coming back with Social Saturday Chat for sure. He's on hiatus for the Workplace Wellness, which is also one of my favorite shows on LinkedIn. Check out documentandact.com to learn about me. Felipe, where should they go to learn about you?
All right, for me, go ahead and check out my YouTube page. Obviously, I always appreciate any additional followers. And of course, Kufina Consulting, you can find me on our LinkedIn homepage for recruiting, training, or auditing services. And like Melissa said, we'll be back in 2 weeks. Let us know of any topics you want us to cover. And as always, thank you to everyone in the chat. You all have added so much value. Thank you to Gregory, William, and everyone else for coming up on stage. And
Christine
Melissa
said something I have to address.
All right.
That song from Sound of Music, I love so much. And this last weekend, I went to a record store. I saw it sitting on the shelf. I wanted it so bad. They hadn't purchased it from the person selling it. They gave it to me. They called me later and said, hey, you can have this record. We're not going to buy it, but you can come just take it. And so I actually get to go pick up the Sound of Music. Oh, we're going to have to come back to this. We got to go.
You got to sing it.
No, not even a little. Damn. Bye, guys.
All right, everyone. Well, Christine put the name in the chat. And for all of you that had any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat and we'll get back to you. And if you think this is deserving of a part 2, let us know. Or if you want us to tackle a different topic that came up, let us know. With that being said, remember to be confident, be curious, be grateful, be compassionate, and be tenacious because you got this. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Stay cool if you're in the heat wave, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Adios, Melissa.
Bye.
In the morning light, I'm chasing dreams, navigating through the office streams. Deadlines looming, emails piling high, wondering if I'm reaching for the sky or just passing by. The world outside, it's a swirling storm, chaos in the streets, a daily norm. But inside my mind, I'm seeking peace, a way to balance, a moment to seize. Careers, chaos, and coaching too. Finding the path, what else can we do? Observing closely, learning as we go. Making decisions, let our wisdom show. Through the storms and the calm, we'll find our way. With every challenge, we'll learn to say, we've got the strength, we've got the grace to face the world and find our place. Upon meetings, voices in my head, strategies and plans, where do they lead instead? I take a breath, step back to see the bigger picture, what's meant to be. Coaching sessions, a guiding light, helping me focus, setting things right. With every word, a new perspective gained. In the game of life, it's not about the pain. Careers, chaos, and coaching too. Finding the path, what else can we do? Observing closely, learning as we go. Making decisions, let our wisdom show. Through the storms and the calm, we'll find our way. With every challenge, we'll learn to say, we've got the strength, we've got the grace to face the world and find our place. Quiet moments, I find my voice. In the chaos, I make my choice to lead with kindness, to act with care, to be the change, to show I'm aware. Careers, chaos, and coaching too. Finding the path, what else can we do? Observing closely, learning as we go. Making decisions, let our wisdom show. Through the storms and the calm, we'll find our way. With every challenge, we'll learn to say, we've got the strength, we've got the grace to face the world and find